Hey, what is going on, guys? How's it going today? My name is Scapenomics, and today I'm bringing you an updated guide for how to flip high margin items with Grand Exchange tax. In this video, I'm going to share with you all the strategies that I've learned and how to maximize making bank on the Grand Exchange with the new taxes that they have implemented. It's taken me a little bit of time to figure out this strategy, but now I think I have something solid to share with you guys, and it's going to make you a lot of cash. Before we talk about the specific strategies, I want to talk about how the Grand Exchange is actually changed now that there are taxes on your trades. The first big change we're seeing is that flips are taking longer. There's a lot less volume on the Grand Exchange, especially for high margin items, because taxes are causing prices to be less stable. Less people want to sell on the Grand Exchange now that they have to pay about $5 million for these high margin items every time they want to sell. So we're seeing a lot less trades overall than we used to. This is a big deal because it's causing margins to be less consistent than they were in the past, and items often jump around in margin much more frequently than they used to. Because of this decreased volume, we're also seeing that real-time margins on sites like GE Tracker and OSRS Price Wiki are not as accurate as they used to be. Because there is less volume now, there are less accurate prices, and prices are updated less frequently than they were in the past, leaving a little more anonymity on top of margin prices. This makes it a little bit harder to know if an item will go up or down in price. With that being said, huge profits are still possible. With these small price inconsistencies and discrepancies, you can sneak in some really great margins. I'm going to show you how to do that today. Now, I am dying to hop over to the Grand Exchange, but before we do, I think it's important to talk about the strategy that you need to use when flipping high margin items with tax before we actually get into the flipping session itself. To give a brief overview of the strategy, the first thing that we're going to need to implement while we're flipping with taxes is we're going to need to wait longer on our high margin flips than we used to in the past. Because there are less trades, flipping is going to take longer, but we're going to make more profit per trade, so we're still going to be able to make a solid profit per hour. Another thing we want to keep in mind with taxes is that we don't want to list full item limits right away. In the post-tax meta, I only list like 3 or 4 of a quantity at a time, unless I'm trading something like the Scythe or Twisted Bow, where I'd obviously only trade 1 at a time per slot. But for something like a Dragon Warhammer, I wouldn't go ahead and list all 8. I'm going in there and listing 4 at a time and adjusting margins after they buy out. In the post-tax meta, we want to spread our wealth across more items than you used to in the past. So if you are flipping high margin items and you're maybe focusing on 3 or 4 at a time, well, that's not the case anymore. You really want to spread your cash stack over 6 to 7 items. I wouldn't go the full 8. It's really hard to manage. But the reason you want to do this is because prices are less consistent and you want to cast a wide net to really take advantage of the price inconsistencies and get in at a really good price. Also, a pro, since margins are less consistent, a lot of the times you'll find that your cheaper offers are going to fill randomly, which is really great. It's easier to hunt really good deals in the post-tax meta. A tip that's really important to implement as well when you're using this post-tax strategy is that when margins shift on you in the downward direction, don't freak out. One last final observation before we get into the flipping session is that items will pump crazy amounts in price at times. Actually doing a flipping session early on post-tax, and I saw that the Grazi pumped 8 million GP in 45 minutes, and it was just an insane bull run, and things like this are way more common now in the post-tax meta, and I thought I'd point it out. Anyway, with all these tips out of the way, we're going to hop over to the Grand Exchange to give the live breakdown and me walking through the strategy with you guys to show you how it's done. Hey, if you are finding value from this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more money making and flipping tips. Anyway, back to the video. Alright, we're over at the Grand Exchange with the max cash in our inventory, and we're going to get into the flipping here. I'm going to start off by listing the items that I see currently have the best margins. I'll talk through some items that I like, and I'll also show you how I'm actually finding the prices on these items and how I list them. The first item I'm going to flip today are the Dragon Claws. We're going to list 4 of them when I get a chance here. Currently looks like it's going to make us about 150k each. And the way I'm actually finding that is I'm using GE Tracker to actually monitor the prices on the items that I like. Now, the best way that I found to track margins live while you're flipping on the Grand Exchange is to use GE Tracker, and I'll show you why here. Currently, I have my favorite item list pulled up. I removed all my previous favorite items just for this video to show you guys how this works. But what I do is I pull my favorite items into this tracker and I sort them by what's going to make me the most profit. Now, this is a GE Tracker premium feature, so if you want this feature, feel free to use my link in the description below. We are affiliated with GE Tracker, and I get a little bit of kickback if you sign up, so I would appreciate that. But it is a really great tool for doing live real-time flipping on the exchange, because not only is it going to tell you your approximate profit, it also calculates your tax into that, which is really, really great. So what I do is I use my favorite items list and I look at what's going to make me money, and every 30 seconds or so I use a Chrome widget to refresh the page. That way I can just glance at this while I'm flipping and make sure I have the most up-to-date information, and if any new opportunities come up, they're going to be right at the top of my approximate profit list, and I'll be able to make a bank off them. Anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead and list the Dragon Claws, and we'll see if we can make any profit. As a rule of thumb, post-tax, you really don't have to overcut or undercut your items by that much. Generally, you're going to be able to make a good amount of profit just by listing right on margin. The reason this is because there's a lot less price consistency now that there is less volume, so even if your price is not exactly accurate, you're still going to be able to fill out the item and make some money. It just might take you a little bit longer. I'm going to continue ahead and list a few more items that I see are looking really good, and we're going to try to get some profit. We've got a couple of items listed, but we actually just got all of our Dragon Claws, which is not a great sign, to be quite honest. That typically means that the item is crashing if you buy them really quick like that, and it's making me a little bit nervous, but I'm not going to freak out. In the post-tax meta, honestly, things take a little bit longer to trade, so you really should not freak out that much when prices come down on you. I'm going to go ahead and sell these back. We're still making a lot of money on these, and I've only undercut the sell offer by 5k on this listing. I actually previously had them listed incorrectly. Luckily, they did not sell. And literally 2 seconds after that clip, the Dragon Claws are selling back. Really happy about that flip already. Currently up 516k in profit. Really good start to the session. As you can see, guys, I'm spreading my cash stack across a bunch of items right now because that is honestly the best way to flip in the post-tax meta, even for high margin items. I'm telling you, it's going to be way more consistent from a profit standpoint, as a lot of your offers are going to fill. It just takes a little bit of time, so having more items on the exchange is going to be more beneficial for you. You'll notice as well that I'm not listing full limits of items. I'm just buying 3 or 4 at a time and making do with that. And I'll also go back in on the item if it is a good flip. So don't think I'm just flipping a lower quantity overall. I'm just doing lower quantities to spread out my cash a little bit more efficiently. We did get the Dragon Claws coming in though. That is a 1 mil profit on just those 4. Really strong start to that. We're going to go back in and list another 4 here and see if we can make even more profit off of it. I tend to stick to a lot of more consistent high margin items. Some items that have been working out really well for me in the post-tax meta are the Elysian Spirit Shield. The Scythe of Atur is also really good. The Dragon Warhammer has actually been amazing. And same with the Dragon Claws, which used to be a tough item for me. The Kodai Wand and the Twisted Bow have also been super consistent as well. And when I say consistent, I mean just generally easy to flip, good volume on these items compared to some of the more obscure high margin items such as the Ring of Endurance or the Blade of Saildor, the Volatile Orb, or the Eldritch Orb. Those are also great items to flip and they will have great margins, but the flips on those take a lot longer in the post-tax meta and are much riskier than these more consistent items that I've listed. We just got 4 more pairs of Dragon Claws that just came in pretty quickly too. It took them a minute to buy, but once they started buying, they bought within like a minute, which is, again, typically a sign that an item is going to go down, but I don't think they are, honestly. The margin seems to be holding very well on the live tracker, so I'm happy with that, but still waiting on a lot of this stuff to come through. The Spectral Spirit Shields, we're going to keep a close eye on. It hasn't been an alarming amount of time yet. Typically around 10 minutes, I give it a little bit of a check on the margin, and then if it's like 15 minutes, I might think about adjusting it. I'll wait a little bit longer on items like the Scythe of Vitur or the Twisted Bow. I'll usually give those about 20 minutes, but again, I wouldn't freak out too much if it's not going your way. These items do tend to recover a lot and bounce around a lot, so if you have to hold something for a little bit longer, you're generally still going to get a profit on it. Just sold our first Kodai Wand 2, which made us 494k after tax. Super good margin on those right now as well. Currently up about 1.6 mil on the session. I want to show you guys an interesting scenario that I'm seeing on the Twisted Bow right now. You'll currently see that the Twisted Bow offer price is around 919 million, while the sell price is 920 million, which would obviously result in a 4 million GP loss because of tax. But what I'm actually going to do here is leave my offer in on the Twisted Bow at 917.6 mil. And the reason I'm actually doing that is because the margins just recently moved on that Twisted Bow, and I don't think they're entirely accurate. Right before they moved, we saw a Twisted Bow sell for 924 mil, so I have a feeling that that margin still might be possible, and we might be able to make bank on this Twisted Bow, which is why I'm leaving it in here, so I'll keep you guys updated on that situation. But regardless, we did get our second Kodai Wand sold, 988k in profit on those so far, so those are doing absolutely fantastic. I'm going to go in for another quantity of those at about 6 more GP than the previous ones, just to keep that listing competitive. Also, we have the Dragon Warhammer selling off, which is great. We're not making as much as I'd like to on those. We're currently up about 300k across the 3 Dragon Warhammers in profit. Nothing crazy, but at least it's consistent for us. We'll see if we can make more money on those after this last one sells. We also put these Bandos Tacets in just kind of for fun. The margin popped up on them. It looked really good, and I thought, why not try to get in on a few of those? It's not really doing too much for us right now, though. Little update on the session, currently about 2.6 mil in profit. Still have not hit any of the big ticket items, which is a little bit unfortunate so far, but we did actually get the Spectral Spirit Shields off for the original margin. So as you can see, as I just waited for the margin to settle, it took a little bit longer, 12 minutes exactly, well 14 minutes exactly, excuse me, to get them all sold off, but we did actually end up getting them sold off. So just a little bit of patience in the post-tax meta goes a long way from a profit standpoint. Still waiting on that Twisted Bow. We adjusted the Scythe just a little bit to really try to get one here. Struggling on both of those items, and honestly, those items are the ones that are making me like 2 mil per flip most of the time. So it's a little bit unfortunate and frustrating that I haven't been able to get a good example of that today. I'm going to keep trying to get one. We'll see if it turns out and works out for us here in the session. It's been a couple more minutes, and honestly, we're not having a lot of buy or sell action right now. Things got really slow. Our theory on the Twisted Bow doesn't really seem to be playing out as well, which is a little bit unfortunate, so I might adjust that listing here in a minute or so, but still waiting for a lot of stuff to come through, trying to play it very patiently because I do think we will still be able to make some profit. We're just kind of in a slow period of the session. And look at that, as I say that, the Twisted Bow has come through. Oh boy, getting a little bit nervous here to see if we can actually get this thing off. Let's see if we can do it. I think we're going to go for our original listing though. Should be about a little bit over a 1 mil profit. It'll be like almost 2 mil in profit if we do get it off at this level. Actually, I think it'll be a little bit less. So let's try and go for a little bit more. That way we can actually hit that number and see if we can get it. finally, a little bit more action here in the last minute or so. We are getting the Dragon Claws off, but unfortunately, we're only making like a 35k profit on each one that we're selling right now, which is pretty low. And I think I'm just going to keep them there because I do want to get them off my hands. But we are, again, crushing it on that Kodai. We've just sold the third one for a total of 1.1 mil in profit so far. We still have the Twisted Bow on our hands. Going to be an interesting situation on that. We did lower it down just a little bit margin-wise to try to get that off. I'm definitely very nervous for that one. That's going to be a make or break for this session. We'll see if it goes through. And we might give the Sanguesti a little bit of an adjustment because I see a lot of price jumping on it right now. So I think if we update it just a little bit, we'll be a little more accurate, might be able to secure some money on it. Lots of movement right now. We have the Dragon Warhammer selling. We're making like 284k on the ones we sell right now. Having great luck on the Kodais, great luck on the Grazis as well. They're going super quick, although they are kind of a small margin right now. I think we're making like 160k each on those, so nothing crazy, but oh my god, they're flipping like hotcakes right now. We also increased the the sell price of the Dragon Claws too. Now, the reason I did that is because I think the margin on them is going up a little bit, and we might actually be able to make more than 35k per Dragon Claw on these last couple. So again, being patient on those, seeing if I can stretch it out a little bit. I'll monitor the buy price to see if the Dragon Claw buy price keeps going down, and then that way, if that happens, I'll just actually lower things down a little bit and try to sell them off for some profit. Just try not to lose any money on those, because losing situations with taxes are not great, because not only are you losing money on the item and the margin, but then you got to pay taxes on top of it. Really rough. Boom, there we go, our big ticket item coming through. We got the Twisted Bow sold off. So happy to see that on this session. That was definitely a nerve-wracker for us, but we did make some money on that. I think we made about 1.35 mil. Super happy to hit that. Now, that's honestly not a crazy margin post-tax, not at all, to be honest, but we really needed that on this session, so that's why I'm happy. We're going to go in for another one for about 500k than our previous one, and try to hit that same margin again, see if we can hit it relatively quickly. I don't want to go any more than that right now, though, just because the margin on that Twisted Bow has been more inconsistent than it usually is. So we're going to play it a little bit on the safe side. Little update on the session. Items are moving around a little bit, and we did get another Twisted Bow, which is great. I'm trying to stretch the margin on this one just a little bit. We did have to raise our buy price, though, to be a little bit above what we bought the previous one at after trying to buy one for lower. So we got in about 200k above our previous buy price. We're trying to sell it for about 600k over our last sell price, so we should be expecting a decent amount of change on that one. No luck on the Sanguesti yet, struggling getting a few more of the Kodai wands in. I am trying to get a better deal on those Kodais because it does look like they might be coming down a little bit in price. I don't know, I might just raise the price and hop in on them again, not entirely sure. One thing that kind of sucks right now is the Dragon Claws are kind of coming down a decent bit in price, and unfortunately we are at limit, so we can't actually take advantage of buying the cheaper ones right now and continuing to flip the item to negate some of the losses. So that is kind of a negative we're facing right now, but you win some, you lose some here on the Grand Exchange. Just hoping we don't have to sell them for a loss in the end. Keep in mind, we have had these over our 15-minute limit that I typically keep on items post-tax. They have been with us for about 30 minutes or so, so we're actually kind of being risky, not just dumping these on the exchange, in my personal opinion. And if you're asking why I still have the Dragon Claws, it's because I'm stubborn, okay? And sometimes I don't like to follow my own advice. We are coming up on the hour mark of the session, and currently we are at 6.5 mil on the dot in profit, so I'm going to stop my flips right there. I'm going to let everything that's currently in right now sit for maybe 20 minutes longer, and then I'm just going to let the sell offer sit for the remainder of the time until they do sell, or until I have to sell them for a loss. So we're going to let things chill for now. 6.5 mil in profit. Pretty happy about that. Now, that is not an amazing session by any means, but that's not bad. Typically, if we have our big ticket items hitting a little bit more, we're looking more at 8 to 10 mil, and that's generally what I'm finding, but since we didn't have any of those big ticket items really help us out too much, for example, we didn't flip any sides or any Elijahs in this one, you know, you can't be too upset about 6.5 mil off some minuscule, smaller margin items. That being said, these are all large margin items to begin with, but you know what I mean, not the big ticket items that we were hoping for. Anyway, though, we did get one Twisted Bow off for 1.3 mil, so that definitely helps, and we might have another one sell here in the next couple of minutes. And funnily enough, a little bit over the hour mark, we did get that next Twisted Bow off, which is really, really nice. So that is 3.1 mil actually in total profit on the Twisted Bows for the session, which is very, very good, guys. 1.4 mil in profit on those T-Bows each on average. Does look like the Dragon Claws are coming back up in price too, but I'm going to go ahead and cancel the Scythe offer. We're just going to chalk it up to an L on that one. We didn't flip any. At least we got that next Twisted Bow off, which is good. And I'll let the Dragon Claws sit maybe for an hour or two, and then I'll come back and check it, and we'll wrap this one up. After our Dragon Claws sold, we ended up making 8.2 mil in 1 hour. And typically that's right on the money with what I've been getting active flipping with max cash after taxes. You're going to make about 8 to 10 mil an hour depending on how lucky you get in your session. Sometimes you can get upwards of 12 mil, and sometimes you're going to do a little bit worse, like 6 or 7 mil. But on average, I've been finding 8 to 10 mil is the sweet spot. So I hope this video helped you guys out. I spent a lot of time developing the strategy, so be sure to drop a like for that. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions on what kind of guide you want me to make next. And with that being said, I'll see you all in the next video.